Pet&Fish Knowledge YouTube channel. Cichlid. Many cichlids, particularly tilapia, are important food fishes, while others, such as the cichlid species, are valued game fish. The family also includes many popular freshwater aquarium fish kept by hobbyists, including the angelfish, Oscars, and discus. Cichlids have the largest number of endangered species among vertebrate families, most in the Haplochromine group. Cichlids are particularly well known for having evolved rapidly into a large number of closely related but morphologically diverse species within large lakes, particularly Tanganyika, Victoria, Malawi, and Edward. Their diversity in the African Great Lakes is important for the study of speciation and evolution. Many cichlids introduced into waters outside of their natural range have become nuisances. All cichlids have some form of parental care for their eggs and fry. That parental care may come in the form of guarding the eggs and fry, or it may come in the form of mouth brooding. Anatomy and appearance. Cichlids span a wide range of body sizes, from species as small as 2.5 centimeters, 0.98 in length, for example, female Neolaprologus multifasciatus, to much larger species approaching 1 meter, 3.3 feet, in length, Blennerochromis and Cichla. As a group, cichlids exhibit a similar diversity of body shapes, ranging from strongly laterally compressed species, such as Altolamprologus, Trophyllum, and Symphysidon, to species that are cylindrical and highly elongated, such as Julidochromis, Teleogramma, Teleocyclo, Cranicyclo, and Gobiacyclo. Generally, however, cichlids tend to be of medium size, ovate in shape, and slightly laterally compressed, and generally similar to the North American sunfishes in morphology, behavior, and ecology. Cichlids share a single key trait, the fusion of the lower pharyngeal bones into a single tooth-bearing structure. A complex set of muscles allows the upper and lower pharyngeal bones to be used as a second set of jaws for processing food, allowing a division of labor between the true jaws, mandibles, and the pharyngeal jaws. Cichlids are efficient and often highly specialized feeders that capture and process a very wide variety of food items. This is assumed to be one reason why they are so diverse. The features that distinguish them from the other families in Labroidae include a single nostril on each side of the forehead, instead of two. No bony shelf below the orbit of the eye. Division of the lateral line organ into two sections, one on the upper half of the flank and a second along the midline of the flank from about halfway along the body to the base of the tail, except for genera Teleogramma and Gobiacycla. A distinctively shaped otolith. The small intestine's left side exit from the stomach instead of its right side as in other Labroidae. Distribution and habitat. Cichlids are one of the largest vertebrate families in the world. They are most diverse in Africa and South America. Africa alone is estimated to host at least 1,600 species. Central America and Mexico have about 120 species, as far north as the Rio Grande in southern Texas. Madagascar has its own distinctive species, Chytria, Oxylapia, Paradilapia, Paratroplus, Ptychochromis, and Ptychochromoides, only distantly related to those on the African mainland. Native cichlids are largely absent in Asia, except for 9 species in Israel, Lebanon, and Syria, Astatopilapia flaviajosephi, Oreochromis aureus, Onolodocus, Cerathodon galileus, Coptodon zilii, and Tristramella spp, 2 in Iran, Iranocyclo, and 3 in India and Sri Lanka, Etroplus and Pseudotroplus. If disregarding Trinidad and Tobago, where the few native cichlids are members of genera that are widespread in the South American mainland, the 3 species from the genus Nandopsis are the only cichlids from the Antilles in the Caribbean, specifically Cuba and Hispaniola. Europe, Australia, Antarctica, and North America north of the Rio Grande drainage have no native cichlids, although in Florida, Mexico, Japan and northern Australia, feral populations of cichlids have become established as exotics. Although most cichlids are found at relatively shallow depths, several exceptions do exist. The deepest known occurrence are Trematocura at more than 300 meters, 980 feet, below the surface in Lake Tanganyika. Others found in relatively deep waters include species such as Alticropus macroclethrum and Palladicromus tokalash down to 150 meters, 490 feet, below the surface in Lake Malawi, and the whitish, non-pigmented, and blind Lamprologus lithops, which is believed to live as deep as 160 meters, 520 feet, below the surface in the Congo River. Cichlids are less commonly found in brackish and saltwater habitats, though many species tolerate brackish water for extended periods. Cyclisoma europhthalmus, for example, is equally at home in freshwater marshes and mangrove swamps, and lives and breeds in saltwater environments such as the mangrove belts around barrier islands. Several species of tilapia, Cerathorodon, and Oreochromis are euryhaline and can disperse along brackish coastlines between rivers. Only a few cichlids, however, inhabit primarily brackish or salt water, most notably Etroplus maculatus, Etroplus suratensis, and Cerathorodon melanothrin. The perhaps most extreme habitats for cichlids are the warm hypersaline lakes where the members of the genera Alcalapia and Danochylia are found. Lake Abated in Eritrea encompasses the entire distribution of D. denicoli, and its temperature ranges from 29 to 45 degrees Celsius, 84 to 113 degrees Fahrenheit. With the exception of the species from Cuba, Hispaniola, and Madagascar, cichlids have not reached any oceanic island and have a predominantly Gondwanan distribution, showing the precise sister relationships predicted by Vicarians. Africa, South America and India. Madagascar. The dispersal hypothesis, in contrast, requires cichlids to have negotiated thousands of kilometers of open ocean between India and Madagascar without colonizing any other island or, for that matter, crossing the Mozambique Channel to Africa. Although the vast majority of Malagasy cichlids are entirely restricted to freshwater, Ptychochromis grandideri and Paratroplus polyactis are commonly found in coastal brackish water and they are apparently salt-tolerant, as is also the case for Etroplus maculatus and E. suratensis from India and Sri Lanka. Feeding. Many cichlids are primarily herbivores, feeding on algae, for example Petrochromis, and plants, for example Etroplus suratensis. Small animals, particularly invertebrates, are only a minor part of their diets. Other cichlids are detritivores and eat organic material, called offwhooches. Among these species are the tilapiinas of the genera Oreochromis, Cerathorodon, and Tilapia. Other cichlids are predatory and eat little or no plant matter. These include generalists that catch a variety of small animals, including other fishes and insect larvae, for example Trophilum, as well as a variety of specialists. Trematocrinus is a specialized snail eater, while Punu maclarini feeds on sponges. A number of cichlids feed on other fish, either entirely or in part. Cranicicla species are stealth predators that lunge from concealment at passing small fish, while Rhamphocromis species are open-water pursuit predators that chase down their prey. Pedophagous cichlids such as the Caprochromis species eat other species' eggs or young, in some cases ramming the heads of mouth-brooding species to force them to disgorge their young. 48. Among the more unusual feeding strategies are those of Chormatidis, Docimatis evelini, Plecotis, Parasitis, and Geniochromis spp, which feed on scales and fins of other fishes, a behavior known as lepidophagy, along with the death-mimicking behavior of Nimbochromis and Parachromis species, which lay motionless, luring small fish to their side prior to ambush. This variety of feeding styles has helped cichlids to inhabit similarly varied habitats. Its pharyngeal teeth in the throat, afford cichlids so many niche feeding strategies, because the jaws pick and hold food, while the pharyngeal teeth crush the prey. Open brooding. Open or substrate brooding cichlids lay their eggs in the open, on rocks, leaves, or logs. Examples of open brooding cichlids include Trophilum and Symphysidon species and Anomalachromis thomasi. Male and female parents usually engage in differing brooding roles. Most commonly, the male patrols the pair's territory and repels intruders, while the female fans water over the eggs, removing the infertile and leading the fry while foraging. However, Both sexes are able to perform the full range of parenting behaviors. Cave brooding. Secretive cave-spawning cichlids lay their eggs in caves, crevices, holes, or discarded mollusk shells, frequently attaching the eggs to the roof of the chamber. Examples include pelvic Acromis spp, Archocentris spp, and Apistogramma spp. Free-swimming fry and parents communicate in captivity and in the wild. Frequently, this communication is based on body movements, such as shaking and pelvic fin flicking. In addition, open and cave brooding parents assist in finding food resources for their fry. Multiple neotropical cichlid species perform leaf-turning and fin-digging behaviors. Ovophile mouth brooding. Ovophile mouth brooders incubate their eggs in their mouths as soon as they are laid, and frequently mouth brood free-swimming fry for several weeks. Examples include many East African rift lakes, Lake Malawi, Lake Tanganyika and Lake Victoria. Endemics, for example, male India, Pseudotropheus, Tropheus, and Ostatitilapia burtoni, along with some South American cichlids such as Geophagus standagneri. Larvophile mouth brooding. Larvophile mouth brooders lay eggs in the open or in a cave and take the hatched larvae into the mouth. Examples include some variants of Geophagus altifrons, and some equidans, Gymnogeophagus, and Satanoperca, as well as Oreochromis mosambicus and Oreochromis niloticus. Mouth brooders, whether of eggs or larvae, are predominantly females. Exceptions that also involve the males include Eretmodine cichlids, genus Pathidus, Eretmodus, and Tanganiquidus, some Cerathodon species, such as Cerathodon melanotherin, Chromidotilapia gantheri, and some equidans species. This method appears to have evolved independently in several groups of African cichlids. Speciation. Cichlids provide scientists with a unique perspective of speciation, having become extremely diverse in the more recent geological past. It is widely believed that one of the contributing factors to their diversification are the various forms of prey processing displayed by cichlid pharyngeal jaw apparatus. These different jaw apparatus allow for a broad range of feeding strategies including algae scraping, snail crushing, planktivores, piscivores, and insectivores. Some cichlids can also show phenotypic plasticity in their pharyngeal jaws, which can also help lead to speciation. In response to different diets or food scarcity, members of the same species can display different jaw morphologies that are better suited to different feeding strategies. As species members begin to concentrate around different food sources and continue their life cycle, they most likely spawn with like individuals. This can reinforce the jaw morphology and, given enough time, create new species. Such a process can happen through allopatric speciation, whereby species diverge according to different selection pressures in different geographical areas, or through sympatric speciation, by which new species evolve from a common ancestor while remaining in the same area. In Lake Apoyo, in Nicaragua, Amphilophus zaliosus and its sister species Amphilophus citroneolus display many of the criteria needed for sympatric speciation. In the African Rift Lake system, cichlid species in numerous distinct lakes evolved from a shared hybrid swarm. Population status. In 2010, the International Union for Conservation of Nature classified 184 species as vulnerable, 52 as endangered, and 106 as critically endangered. At present, the UN only lists Cycromis sp. November argens as extinct in the wild, and 6 species are listed as entirely extinct, but it is acknowledged that many more possibly belong in these categories, for example, Haplochromis elocephalus, H. epigenoites, H. dentex, H. dicurus and numerous other members of the genus Haplochromis have not been seen since the 1980s, but are maintained as critically endangered in the small chance that tiny but currently unknown populations survive. Since 1945, cichlids have become increasingly popular as aquarium fish. The most common species in hobbyist aquaria is Strophalum scalare from the Amazon River basin in tropical South America, known in the trade as the angelfish. Other popular or readily available species include the Oscar, Astronitis ocellatus, convict cichlid, Archocentris nigrofasciatus, and discus fish, Symphysidon. Hybrids and selective breeding. Some cichlids readily hybridize with related species, both in the wild and under artificial conditions. Other groups of fishes, such as European cyprinids, also hybridize. Unusually, cichlid hybrids have been put to extensive commercial use, in particular for aquaculture and aquaria. The hybrid red strain of tilapia, for example, is often preferred in aquaculture for its rapid growth. Tilapia hybridization can produce all male populations to control stock density or prevent reproduction in ponds. Aquarium hybrids. The most common aquarium hybrid is perhaps the blood parrot cichlid, which is a cross of several species, especially from species in the genus Amphilophus. There are many hypotheses, but the most likely is Amphilophus labiatus x, Vigus inspillus, x, Heros severus, with a triangular-shaped mouth, an abnormal spine, and an occasionally missing caudal fin, known as the love-heart parrot cichlid. The fish is controversial among aquarists. Some have called blood parrot cichlids the Frankenstein monster of the fish world. Another notable hybrid, the flowerhorn cichlid, was very popular in some parts of Asia from 2001 until late 2003, and is believed to bring good luck to its owner. The popularity of the flowerhorn cichlid declined in 2004. Owners released many specimens into the rivers and canals of Malaysia and Singapore, where they threaten endemic communities. A leucistic long-finned form of the oscar, A. ocellatus. Numerous cichlid species have been selectively bred to develop ornamental aquarium strains. The most intensive programs have involved angelfish and discus, and many mutations that affect both coloration and fins are known. Other cichlids have been bred for albino, leucistic, and xanthistic pigment mutations, including oscars, convict cichlid and Pelvicacromis pulcher. Both dominant and recessive pigment mutations have been observed. In convict cichlids, for example, a leucistic coloration is recessively inherited, while in Oricromis niloticus, red coloration is caused by a dominant inherited mutation. This selective breeding may have unintended consequences. For example, hybrid strains of Microgeophagus ramirezi have health and fertility problems. Similarly, intentional inbreeding can cause physical abnormalities, such as the notched phenotype in angelfish. Pet&Fish, a knowledge channel to raise the vibration, and share and subscribe this article with your family and friends.